All right. Hello, everyone. Welcome to our webinar today on the all-new UX Academy experience. My name is Emily. I am the Community Manager for Design Lab, and today I am joined by my teammates, Tim and Emily. So we have two Emilys and a Tim. So I'm not trying to be confusing or anything, but we're really happy you're here. And really the purpose today is, we really want to share this really new and great thing that we are very proud of. And just going to give you a little bit more inside information, which will primarily be on Tim today. But some house rules before we get started. If you've been here already, you know the drill. Please say hello in the chat. Let us know where you're from. Share your LinkedIn information. And for anyone who's interested, this is recorded. So if you'd like to share this with anyone, you want to rewatch it, it will be recorded and posted on our YouTube channel. Hello. Amazing. So yeah. Go ahead and do that. We'll give everyone about another 30 seconds or so, and then we will kick it off. And Tim will be the first one to introduce himself and kick off our awesome presentation. Yes, and yes, Emily just did a great reminder. Thank you so much. If you have questions, please put them in the questions tab on the right-hand side, only because sometimes questions can get lost in the chat. So we just want to make sure that we're addressing anything and everything that we possibly can. All right, with that said, I'm going to hand it over to Tim, and Tim is going to kick us off.
Yeah, hi everyone. Again, my name is Timothy, and with a few other folks, I've been working on the redesign and the reboot of UX Academy, and we're really excited about it. For those who don't know us very well, Design Lab's mission is to empower creators to do the work they love. So you can go next slide, Emily. Founded in 2013, we've been a company that specialized in design education, and we've helped countless individuals transition into the field of design, from whether it's marketing backgrounds, education backgrounds, human resources, accounting, and even medicine. We've helped people make that transition into the world of product design, aka UX and UI design. So we're really excited to be here with you all and share our latest enhancement, our latest update to UX Academy. So this marks the 7-year anniversary of our flagship program, UX Academy. We have constantly iterated upon this program by updating the learning materials, the structure of the course, as well as our proprietary platform. But there has been so much change in the last year or two that we thought it was time for like a full reboot. So we worked diligently to design and produce a whole new UX Academy experience that we're thrilled to share with you. With that, we have a short teaser for you to watch. It always happens when you're in a presentation, things restart at the end. Well, I hope that wasn't too laggy for you, like it might have been a little bit for me. And I hope you're as excited we are. In the remaining slides, we're going to be talking about the enhanced learning formats, the brand new content that we've worked on, the revamped course structure, how we've realigned the pacing or timeline of the course, our active and growing community, as well as how you can get involved. You can go to the next slide. So we started this initiative to rebuild UXA, and when we approached this, we basically put this question in front of us: what skills and knowledge will designers need in the future? With this approach, we both address the skills and need to land a job right now, hence the first quote, and in the future. So we kind of looked at like, what are designers going to need in like 2024, 2025? And that's the kind of approach that we took with this curriculum and the learning materials. So we performed lots of formal and informal research to understand what we could do differently to make this learning experience more perfectly sequenced in terms of the course materials. We wanted to make it more realistic to what was happening in the world of tech and even outside of tech and what's happening in the industry. And we also, of course, wanted to make it unique. We didn't want to make another run-of-the-mill UX and UI design bootcamp. So here's what we heard from some professional designers that we share our curriculum with. We heard that this curriculum was now true to industry standards and practices. It is engaging from the very beginning and will help keep students stimulated throughout. And we also heard that it has a logical progression of course materials that creates for a frictionless experience. So we're really excited to get that feedback. You can go to the next slide. The new UXA will has a number of new ways to learn. And I know that it's kind of a weird concept, but we developed new platforms and new kind of content types and what's a better way of putting it? New different types of assignments, I guess you could say, that help you learn the skills of a UX and UI designer. So the first thing is, when it comes to the projects, we have kind of redesigned them to offer you more concrete experience in the must-have design skills, and you'll do that through hands-on projects. You'll have opportunities to experiment and develop both hard and soft skills through our redesigned how-to guides. And the last thing is, we have built in a lot of time for reflection and ways in which you can sharpen your critical thinking skills through lessons. But don't worry, we haven't gotten rid of the good stuff that our program has been known for. UX Academy is an industry-leading UX and UI design bootcamp. And some of the things that we've been known for that we have kept in UX Academy include one-on-one mentorship with a professional designer who has, on average, 3 to 7 years of professional experience. We have kept it so coming out of the program, you'll have 4 substantial portfolio pieces. That means 4 different case studies that you can show to potential employers that you have the skills to pay the bills. And we have made sure that the course is just as rigorous as it was before. We have been really proud of the rigor and the challenge that we provide our students with through our course. It's not just, again, an everyday boot camp. We give you the things that you need in order to get a job in UX and UI design, and that comes through our curriculum. So we kept that level of rigor and in meaningfulness, I think, to the course materials. And the last thing is, we have not eliminated, of course, our very supportive and active community. We are continuing to try to feed everybody into this awesome community of designers who are current students, alumni, mentors, facilitators, as well as the team itself. So these are all things that we've kept in our program. You can go to the next slide. So the all new UX Academy experience, like I said, builds on what we've done before. But in doing that, we had to make some changes. And so here's some awesome stats to provide you with the ways in which we enhance the curriculum. So for the first time ever, there's going to be a slew of video tutorials throughout the course. In the previous iterations of the course, it was mostly written materials and hands-on activities, but now we're going to have these awesome videos, over 30 new video tutorials from the very earliest stages of UX Academy to the last few modules. There's going to be over 60 new lessons, and we've also rethought all of the projects, all the hands-on projects that the course is known for. I believe a statistic is that like 87% of your time is going to be dedicated to these hands-on projects. And we have made sure that all of those projects, we've tweaked all of them to make sure they are kind of matching what's happening in industry. And then on top of that, we've also provided more exclusive UX and UI design techniques. Being that the curriculum design team, which I'm on, all has a background in design and education, we have brought unique tools and techniques and methodologies to the curriculum that you won't see anywhere else. So these are some things that we think are going to make this program really stand out. You can go to the next slide. Before updating the structure and the content of the course, of course, this is an educational experience. So we wanted to make sure that the learning objectives that we set for you all were right. So instead of using the learning objectives that we set just a couple of years ago, we decided to do a whole round of research and update the 3 primary objectives of what students get from this course. So first and foremost, you get technical UX and UI design skills. You gain these technical skills that are specific to these disciplines by working on portfolio-worthy projects from conception to handoff. Something that we add to the course is we kind of double down or re-emphasize the importance of human-centered design, also known as design thinking, and the techniques and the process that goes along with that. So we established a human-centered design practice that stresses how important it is to understand the people that you are designing for and how those learnings can shape the design of an interaction or an interface that you then have to build. The last part of this is professional growth. Being that this is a career switcher program, there is an expectation that you grow professionally, right? So we build on the soft skills. We built up, I should say, the soft skills and required documentation to apply to jobs in UX UI design, namely the resume and online UX UI portfolio. But we really kind of checked in and made sure we were giving you learning materials that, again, checked off that box of soft skills, because there's a lot of things around presentation and collaboration. There's a lot of things along those lines that we wanted to emphasize in the course to make sure you had some knowledge in going into the job finding process. Feel free to go next slide. Thanks, Emily-Ann. So to give you a little bit of overview of what the new course includes and the new structures. So phase 1 of UX Academy contains 7 modules that holds 33 units, which helps students check off all the essentials of being a UX and UI designer. The first module is called Design Is. It's kind of a funny title for a module that it's like kind of an incomplete sentence. And we did this very intentionally. This is a space for you to begin your learning journey by gaining essential information about the field of UX and UI design and determine what design means to you and set achievable goals for yourself. So we named this module from the perspective of like, you have to figure out what design means to you. So design is ... After that, you go into user research. So you kick off a realistic design project by practicing various research methods, such as interviewing actual human beings. And then you go about synthesizing your research into actionable findings. So a huge part of this course, one of the biggest modules, is that user research module, if that's something you're passionate about or interested in. Then you go into a shorter module called Ideation to Prioritization. This is where you learn how to think divergently using numerous brainstorming techniques before designing on a product idea that you want to bring forward into the rest of the curriculum. So again, this course has some flexibility in terms of what you get to produce. And so this is that point where you kind of heard about a problem. You have kind of narrowed down on what you want to solve for. Now you've brainstormed some concept and you figured out what is that product that you want to build moving forward. Okay, after that, you go into information architecture. This is module 4. So you build on those skills in organizing information, content strategy, navigational design. You also learn about search engine optimization and sitemap diagramming, all of which contribute to the project that you've now defined, that product that you want to build. After that, you go into interaction design. This is a pretty big module with 29 lessons and 12 different projects. Here you develop task flows, user flows. You learn the fundamentals of usability, accessibility, as well as inclusion, something that we've kind of added to the course and kind of re-emphasized. And then you take a mobile first approach to creating responsive wireframes. Sorry if I'm jumping over my words a little bit here, a lot to get through. After that, you go into module 6, which is user interface design. Also a pretty big module, 22 lessons and 8 projects. Here you apply visual design principles to basically the creation of the components that will be utilized in your prototype. You learn the basics of branding, typography, color theory, and iconography, and you bring that all together into a prototype that is high fidelity, that is a somewhat functional prototype. And that's where the last module comes into play, prototyping and testing. You're going to prepare a high fidelity prototype that you will then test and iterate upon. You'll wrap up your first major design project by preparing your designs for handoff to software developers. After you learn all these skills and you have this really solid portfolio piece, you then go into phase 2, where you develop 3 more portfolio pieces. You can go to the next slide. Okay, very important topic is the course pacing. So we've restructured the most time-intensive parts of the course, part of the program, to make it more applicable to the wider range of situations and schedules, with our goal of just empowering more careers to do the work they love and to succeed in the remote and flexible world. We realize there's a lot going on right now, so we've kind of rethought how the timing of the course works, which I'm going to go into in the next slide. There we go. So course pacing. So there's 2 different tracks to go throughout the course. You can go through a full-time track, which is approximately 40 hours a week, and then there's a part-time track, which is 20 hours a week. Back in the day, the course workload was around 40 hours a week. We've now minimized that a little bit to allow for these other things. So if you're on a full-time track, you get 29 hours for coursework, and then you're given 6 hours for iteration, 2 hours for mentorship, 2 hours for general administrative tasks and communicating with the team via Slack or Discord, and then 1 hour for group crits. If you're on the part-time track, we really only expect you to complete 13 hours of coursework a week, because we realize that you're going to need about 4 hours for iteration. You're going to need to have at least 1 hour with your mentor per week. You're probably going to need another hour for general administrative tasks and community engagement. And then you're also going to need 1 hour for group crits. So we've really rethought the pacing of the course to be a little bit more, I would say, forgiving. Instead of having a full 40 hours of course week and a full 20 hours of course week, we've minimized it so you have time for these other things that are a part of our course and a part of the experience. And you can go to the next slide if it's coming. Oh, and there we go. At this point, I'm going to hand it over to Emily. I was really excited to share that information with you. I'm going to be in the chat or in the questions tab. If you have more questions, feel free to drop them in there and I'll address them as soon as possible.
Thanks, Tim. Thanks so much for sharing all that information. I hope everyone found it helpful. Just a little bit of background for me. I attended UXA as a student when UX Academy was first a thing. So it's really exciting for me to be on the other side of this, to really see the evolution of UX Academy. So I hope you all found all of that really, really inspiring. So hello again, my name is Emily. I'm the community manager here at Design Lab, for those who missed our very brief intro at the beginning. And I'm here to talk about our new community space. So we currently live in Slack. That is where our community has been living for the past couple of years. However, we have grown in such a good way that it's time to find something that is built to support community and support engagement and interaction. So really, really excited to share that we are moving to Discord. So for those of you who are familiar with Discord, that is where the home will be, our community home will be. So once, if you enroll with us, that's kind of the space you'll be put in to engage with other students, alumni, mentors, all of that fun stuff. All right, next slide, please. Thank you. So very small screenshot here, but basically we're not trying to give away all the goodness, but this is just to show like, hey, we are moving over to Discord. So it's going to be a thing, and I'm really excited about it, mainly because Discord has a lot of great features that Slack currently doesn't have in terms of how we can support the community. Voice channels are going to be a big thing, but also a lot of organization and better organization. Next slide. Thank you. All right, so to dive in a little bit deeper, I just mentioned channel organization. So this new space is going to be one cohesive community space, meaning that wherever you are in the design, as a part of Design Lab, whether you're in UX Academy, Foundations, you're a mentor, you're an alumni, we're all going to live in the same space now. As of right now, everyone kind of has different homes, and it kind of put us in a spot where we have had a little bit of challenge, but it's okay. That's what Discord is for. It's meant to kind of bring us all together to really interact as one supportive community. We have focus channel groups, so it's easy to find what you're looking for. And then we are encouraging participation across programs, meaning there will be opportunities for folks who are, let's say, in our Foundations program to participate in surveys or interviews for folks who are in the UX Academy program. So it's really exciting. Next, thank you. All right. And then other, I guess, channel groups that we are going to have set up are things that are related to tools, resources, jobs. So if you find a cool job, or someone who's hiring, we always encourage our community members to share anything that they find. So that way, you're kind of helping everyone else who's there. We have a new section called Career Switchers. So in our community, we have a lot of folks who are career switchers from a lot of other industries. I myself was one. I came from retail and support. So if that's where you currently are at, it is doable. It is absolutely doable to switch careers regardless, support or not. There's just so many people in our space right now who all have such inspiring stories as to why they want to become UX designers. And, having been someone on that end, I know what it feels like to kind of achieve that goal, to just really feel like, oh my gosh, like I found where I belong in terms of my career and, just life. And then the last one, like I said, like updated resource area. So it's just a way where we're better organizing how to find resources and how to share resources. In our community space, we always like to encourage everyone to share any and all resource that you find that's design related, whether it's about, finding how to actually, network with other designers, how to find design communities, design mentors, just kind of everything that is encapsulated in the design world. We want everyone to share that because what one person knows, another person may not know. So to me and to kind of all of us at Design Lab, we really do believe in kind of sharing the knowledge. All right. And then one more slide, I believe. Perfect. And then I mentioned earlier, so voice channels. So if you are familiar with Discord, they have these awesome things called voice channels. So it's really just think of it as a virtual room. So we are going to be opening up that feature for our community members in order for them to co-work, socialize, network with each other, or just, jump in a room and say, hey, like I need to chat about something. I need to pick someone's brains. Does anyone have time? Right now, it's not a great experience, because Slack doesn't have that kind of feature. It has something called huddles, which is great. But sometimes, you want to see who you're talking to. You may need to screen share. There's a lot of other things that are involved with having a conversation with someone. So Discord kind of solves a lot of problems for us in that space. One more, please. Thank you. And I guess in general, related to our voice channels, we are also going to be doing what we're calling community-led events and workshops, which is really exciting. This is something that we haven't done a lot in the past, mainly because we're testing it out. But, we do plan to have sessions related around interview prep, live portfolio reviews, group design challenges, basically ways for you to keep practicing the skills that you need as a designer. But also, when you're out in the world, you're interviewing, you're going to be working with design teams and developers. We want everyone to have some form of experience around just at least having those conversations and knowing what to say. All right. I think that might be it. Maybe one more. No, it's for Emily, the other Emily now.
Hey, everybody. So as Emily said, my name is also Emily. I'm one of the admissions representatives here at Design Lab. One thing I just wanted to do really quickly is share the admissions email so that you can get in touch with us. If this is all sounding really great and you're interested in moving forward, we would be your first touch point, basically to progress throughout the admissions process. So a little bit about upcoming dates and deadlines for our foundations course, which is the prerequisite. We have them running pretty much every month for the rest of the year. And the open start dates right now are going to be April 4th, May 9th, and then June 6th. If anyone is interested in getting involved in foundations, I'm going to post the enrollment link over in the chat so that you have access to it. And again, a really great opportunity to get a little bit of a feel for our course before jumping into the full UX Academy program. Starting any of these dates and foundations will set you up to launch into the updated UX Academy curriculum. And our upcoming launch dates are going to be May 23rd, June 27th, and July 18th. One good thing to keep in mind is that the deadlines are pretty much always 10 days before the cohort start date. So if you're looking to get involved in UX Academy and maybe skip foundations, but you definitely want to interact with the new curriculum, the first launch date you'd be looking towards would be May 23rd, and that has an application deadline of May 10th. You then have June 17th and July 8th. Essentially, what will happen is that once you complete foundations, if you need the prerequisite course, you'll be able to apply to UX Academy and get started. So a little bit about tuition and the different payment options that we offer, because we do have some flexibility as far as the tuition. Our updated cost for the full course is going to be $77.49. And just as a little reminder or some information for those who maybe aren't aware of this, Foundations is $499 upfront, but if you move from Foundations into the full UX Academy program, you'll get a $500 credit for the cost of Foundations applied towards your UX Academy cost. So that brings your remaining total down to $72.49. And we have a couple of different ways to pay off that total. The first would be an upfront payment. This is the least expensive option over time, and this would essentially involve the remainder of your UX Academy tuition being charged in full on the first day of your UX Academy course launch. So again, May 23rd, June 27th, or July 18th, that's when you would be charged that remainder of your total. We also have some payment plans and flexible long-term financing options. So our payment plans come in 2 different installment sets. We have a 6-month payment plan, which is represented here, but then we also have a 10-month payment plan, which isn't represented, but I am going to share an article from our help center that will outline this information in more detail, and just so that everyone can have it on hand if this is of interest to you. So the payment plans do come with a $400 servicing fee, but we are aware that, some students want more flexibility and to have the option to pay the course off over time. One really nice thing about the payment plans internally is that they're not a loan. They don't accrue any interest. It's just installments done internally through us. If you're looking for some more flexible financing options, we do offer that with our partnership through Climb Credit. That is a tuition loan partner, and they have a couple of different options as well. For Climb, we offer a fully deferred option where you would actually pay nothing for the first 6 months of your UX Academy loan. So starting on the first day of UX Academy for 6 months onward, you would be responsible for no payments, and then your first payments would start kicking in after that 6-month timeline. And it's usually around $250, maybe a little bit more, depending on the rates and terms of your loan. And then we also have an interest-only option with Climb, where you'd pay only the interest on your loan for the first 6 months. It's usually between like $50 and $100, and then your principal would kick in, and again, it would be more like $225, $250. The nice thing about Climb is that there is a soft credit check if you wanted to apply to see if you qualify. And I'm going to share a blog article that we have about Climb as well for anyone who's interested in learning more. I also just want to take this opportunity to share our scholarship for UX Academy, because that is something that we offer for students too, if you'd like to get involved and want to learn a little bit more about that. Awesome. So that is pretty much the end of the presentation, but I think we are going to hop into the Q&A to see what is going on over there. I don't know if, Tim, you want to take it back. I see that you've been answering a lot of questions from students, or we can all just hang out, whatever works best.
Yeah, I can. Some of these might be easier to answer aloud, especially the ones that are just coming in. Apart from the financial Climb Credit one, I'm going to save that one for you all. But the first question was around how the updated timeline of the course, or the pacing of the course, impacts the time to completion of the course. In full transparency, the course, because of this re-examined and this adjusted course timeline, the course will likely be 1 to 2 weeks longer, depending on the track that you're in. And so we can get back with more information on that. Somebody asked, who will the users be for the user research portion of the course? So similar to how the course currently works, you are challenged with recruiting research participants who are relevant to the project that you chose. So the example I put in here is, let's say you chose, there's about 4 different major briefs you can choose within phase 1. Let's say you chose the one around financial planning. We would give you some tools and resources and some course materials to help that on-ramp for recruiting people to do user research with, to interview, do surveys, etc. And so basically, the users that you interact with are people that you recruit. They're people that are relevant to the challenge that you're working on. I think somebody else answered this question. Can jump in for me for this one, the career switching one.
Yep, I can do that one. So there was a question about, I did mention earlier, that we have a lot of career switchers, but that certainly is not our entire community. We just have a lot of them. We do have a lot of folks who, are fresh out of college and they decide to say, hey, I just want to do Design Lab after college. So we have everyone here. We also have folks who have years and years and years of previous design experience, and they're also here to upskill as well. So that's really all just to say our community is really a true blend of everyone at every stage of their careers, whether you are a career switcher, brand new to just working in general, or you switch careers multiple times and you're just looking for something new. So we have everyone. And that's really, again, just to say, like, our community is full of people who will support you. So you will always be able to find someone to chat with.
Yeah. To that point, I remember doing some research last year and talking with some students. One person was 47 years old and had an extensive career in graphic design, and now wanted to have more digital product design experience. I met another student who was a senior in college who was studying, I believe, accounting, and they were doing this in their 4th year as a senior part-time student, and they were planning on transitioning to design afterwards. So even though they were getting their degree in accounting, which was impressive to handle both, but they were doing it. The next question here is, do students get a choice when it comes to projects developed for our portfolio, or are they predetermined? So we give you these project briefs that are pretty flexible in terms of the output. We give you some direction, being like, this is kind of like the sector that we will like you to focus on, but you get a choice of like 4 different things. I can't remember exactly what they all are off the hand because we just recently redid them all. But there is a lot of flexibility. So it's not a really set like brand or company or product that you have to develop. There's quite a bit of, I guess you could say, creative freedom, to answer your question, Ashley.
And I can take the next one from Yara. Question is, have you ever had a person without a bachelor's degree be successful after finding, they find a job after the program? I don't know if we actually have anything that tells us otherwise. A lot of it is mainly because, it's personal choice of whether or not you choose to have your degree. But I will say, from a very, very personal standpoint, if boot camps were a thing when I was in college, I would have chosen the boot camp. That's again, personal preference. Also because I have gone to college, so that's in hindsight.
And from an admissions perspective, we do speak to students who don't have a formal degree, whether that's a bachelor's or associates, and are really excited to come through the program. And we've seen them do quite well. One of the biggest considerations that we tell students is, when you're looking for a job, you're going to want to have a really quality level portfolio. And that is definitely something that our program supports, as well as career services. So you will have that support structure when you're looking for a job as well.
Next question is around what softwares do you learn in the course? So in Foundations, that course, which is mainly focused on visual and UI, the 2 tools that we focus on is Sketch as well as Figma. And when it comes to UXA, we've pivoted recently with the new UXA. We have more technical tutorials on these tools. Not so much on Sketch, because the leading tool in the industry right now is Figma. So I've overused this term during this presentation, but we've doubled down on the use of Figma in UXA. And then apart from that, there's a tool called Optimal Sort, which we're going to have tutorials on. Optimal Sort is a tool used for research, card sorting, and information architecture. So we provide some tutorials on that, and then we really just provide a lot of technical video tutorials on Figma, since that is likely the tool that you're going to want to use.
Yeah, and I just want to jump in really quickly just to really call out, like, the amount of tools that are now available today. It's a lot compared to even 5 years ago. So as just a general product designer, it's one of those, like, you won't know until you try, because there are so many solutions. So if anything, you will talk to a lot of product designers when you ask them for their tool recommendations. You're going to get a bunch of different answers. And really, at the end of the day, we always just recommend that you give them all a try and see which one you like. The learning curve between Sketch and Figma and Adobe XD is very low. So once you know one, to be able to switch over to a different one, let's say you learn Figma throughout the program, you get a new job and they say, oh, we use Sketch or Adobe XD. It's okay. I promise that the learning curve is very low. A lot of these tools are designed to kind of behave very similarly. A lot of the commands are actually also the same. So I wouldn't stress too much about making sure that you know the proper tools. The correct answer is know all the tools and then figure out what works best for you.
And to that point, in Module 1 in Unit 3, there is specifically a lesson that goes through all the most popular tools in UX and UI design right now. And we give you the pros and cons of each and tell you a little bit of information about each of them, so you can make that choice on your own as you're in the program. Let's say you're coming from a background, architecture or graphic design, you already have experience in the Adobe suite. Maybe you want to stick with the Adobe products, and that's okay. The course is not going to be disrupted because you use a tool that's not Figma.
And then one more caveat to that, while it's not disruptive for the course, that is, to say, like, please keep in mind when you do, if you do apply for a UX job, product design job, it's not quite industry standard to be working out of Illustrator and Photoshop as a working product or UX designer. So that's just something to keep in mind. If you are very familiar with Adobe products, like Tim said, it is completely okay to go through the course using that, but just know that when you're ready to apply for jobs, it's really great to have a different UX focused tool under your belt. All right, next question. What do we have? Software. Can we do a real world project? Who wants to answer this one?
Yeah, I would say I can try to take a stab at this. Emily, put a question or answer in here for us. So yeah, I mean, they are the whole course is kind of real world projects because we're giving you a brief and you have to find these real people to design for, and we help you do that. But you recruit and talk to live human beings. You're not making up the research. You're not making up the data. You're not making up the insights or the needs or the problems. Everything is kind of based off of a real world problem that you have to go about finding and then developing a solution for. So to answer your question, yes, the whole course is kind of based off of a real world challenges. Are we lining you up with clients? No. I would say most programs, most boot camps out there that claim to be doing that, they have received a brief from Google or Airbnb, and then they've redistributed that same brief to thousands of students. We're not doing that because we don't see the productivity of that, because then all of you will end up with a portfolio that kind of looks the same and comes from the same brief. So again, I mentioned earlier that the course has a little bit more creative freedom and that we kind of give you a direction with the briefs, but it's really up to you to find a deep-seated issue or a latent problem for a group of users to design for.
And we do sometimes see students like incorporate real world businesses into their portfolio projects. So we don't facilitate that, but we see students do it all of the time, like link up with local businesses, educational institutions. I was looking through student portfolios recently and someone actually redid the UX for the library down the street from where I live. I was like, whoa, this is wild. So there is a lot of that in the program. So like as Tim said, we're not facilitating that sort of cookie cutter client setup. We definitely see students incorporate real world projects and people into their portfolios in that way as well.
Totally.
All right, I think next one, fairly easy. This one was answered by Emily. Question by Burton, can you swap between full-time or part-time? Vice versa, the answer is yes, you can switch once throughout the duration of the program. And then next one is from Tejo. This is a great question. Tejo wants to know, if we help students make portfolios on the website, or is it the student's job? So short answer, it is every student's responsibility, but mainly because this is going to be something that you will have to maintain once you're done with the program. This is something that you will be taking, to apply for jobs, into interviews, stuff like that. So as your experience grows as a working professional, so will the number of projects that you work on, which means that, over time you will have to kind of add on to it and just kind of maintain it yourself. So what better way to learn how to use another tool than just jumping right in and doing it? But that's not to say that your mentors can't help you. There are a lot of portfolio tools out there. So often, me as a mentor, I let my students choose what tool they want to use, and I will kind of help them along the way as best as I can. But for the most part, it is a tool, that you are choosing for your own professional career. All right, and then the next one's from Edna about cost of software and such. So everyone is responsible for obtaining the software that you choosing to use for the program. However, we do have a lot of perks through a lot of partners, including Figma, Sketch, Adobe. So we do have perks where we can help either get you a promotional time with like a promotional trial period or even beyond a trial period. But basically, we have certain perks in place for students to be able to cut some of those costs down.
If I'm not mistaken, I think
Oh, sorry. I just threw our perks page in the chat for anyone who wants to take a look at all the nice partnerships that we have.
And I'm not, maybe Emily, you can give me some intel on this. If I'm not mistaken, most of the tools, especially Figma, are freemium. So up to a certain extent, you can use these tools for free. And then after you have enough documents or pages or projects in your account, then you have to start paying. But I think you could probably get through UXA using Figma for free, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep. And with Figma specifically, they do have a student perk where they will give you a full year for free. So you get the professional plan for free. You just have to submit a form. there's not much friction, at least from my experience with Figma. So usually requesting that is quite easy. But Tim is correct. Like most tools in general will have a trial period or even like a freemium version of it. So for the most part, you should be able to kind of get by the program with that. And then, hopefully by the end of it, you're kind of sold on which ones you really like and which ones you want to invest in. But also keep in mind, right? Like tools that could be used at a company, at a job that you get could also be slightly different. So whatever tools you're committing to use are really just for your own personal use.
Outside of that, students get through our program using 5-year-old Macs, and they also use PCs. Just as long as your computer can handle like a Zoom or like a video chat connection and can access the internet, Figma could be a browser-based program if you choose it to. They also have an app you can download on a computer, but you could also access Figma through the browser. So yeah, people have gotten through a program with pretty cheap computers. You don't need to necessarily buy a new setup. You can if you want, and making sure you're having an internet connection that's helping you access your mentor and the community as well as the tools.
Yeah, that's a great call out. Figma does not care what kind of computer you have, but Sketch does. Sketch, I believe, is the only of the 3 main programs. Sketch, Figma, and Adobe XD is the only one that is Mac specific. Cool. All right. What other questions? What else we got? Maybe the next one from Elena. Emily, do you want to answer that one? Oh, no. Yeah, maybe.
I think Tim could probably maybe speak a little bit more about that.
I understand different pace. Let me just read the question aloud. So I'm finishing foundations now and trying to decide if I should join the April cohort or wait until May. I understand different pace for new course and a new collaboration tool, which is great. What would you say is the biggest advantage / difference of a new curriculum? Yeah, the new curriculum, the pacing is different. So it would be, a little bit less challenging on a weekly basis. So that's going to be the big difference. But the tools are mostly the same that you're going to be using, but the instructional materials are all brand new. So they're all like written within this year. So we're talking about the most up-to-date content on UX and UI design you could possibly find. Also, a huge difference in the course from current UXA to the new UXA is that we now have video tutorials in the course. So in case you're a type of learner who relies on more than just reading materials and activities and projects, you want something more visual to look at, something that uses motion graphics, then this UXA, the new V3 that we're launching in May, might be the right choice for you.
All right. And then I think...
Do any of the students create a startup out of the portfolio project?
Yes.
That's a great question.
That is a great question because we actually have a YouTube, we have a webinar on that one with one of our alumni. So we did an alumni spotlight with one of our alumni named Mary, and she basically took one of her capstone projects and is now a founder of an app. So it's pretty cool. And I know she's not the only one. I think we did another one with someone else. So we had 2 presentations, and I believe coming up in April, we'll have another one where 2 UX Academy students did basically kind of started their own thing together. So it is absolutely doable. You can absolutely create your own company, your own, whatever it is, out of your own projects. It's just choosing, if you want to do it and when you want to do it. But yes, I will actually throw the link to that YouTube recording in the chat. And then last question is for Emily.
Yes. So Yara says, do you believe you'll have more cohorts opening towards the end of the year? And the answer is absolutely. We'll be running cohorts of both Foundations and UX Academy throughout the duration of 2022. I think we're planning on running one pretty much every month for the rest of the year. So as far as when you choose to get involved, it is quite flexible. Foundations usually starts around the first Monday of the month, and UX Academy usually starts around the third Monday of the month. And then Banson asked, when will the updated program start again? And the new updated content is going to go live with our May 23rd launch date, and all subsequent cohorts will have that new information as well.
All right.
One more.
Do you have opportunities to collaborate with other students on projects, or is that just with group crits? So group crits it's not really it is a place to collaborate. It's a place to talk about your work, but that's really meant to simulate how I kind of describe it as like your design team meeting. So, a lot of students, especially when they're not used to presenting in group scenarios, I like to paint the picture of treat this as your design team meeting. You're in there with a bunch of your designer colleagues, and everyone's just there to share what they're working on, whether it's just a status update, whether it's a, hey, I'm actually blocked on this right now, I can't think through a solution, I need help, or hey, I need a sounding board, here's my thoughts on how I went about my design decisions, please tell me if I'm wrong or does this make sense. So really that's the purpose of group crits. But Emily, do you want to kind of take the other part of the question on group projects?
Yeah, absolutely. So we don't really offer group projects in UX Academy because we know that it's really, really important for students to be presenting work that is exclusively their own. And we want to make sure that students are creating portfolios that are really unique and really diversified and representing themselves as designers. What we sometimes see students do is work together. We offer design challenges. Other Emily is really involved in those. Students sometimes collaborate on those. We also see students sometimes form like group sessions where they collaborate together and form little study groups. And those are definitely things that we encourage, and we're hoping will be more able to kind of grow organically with the switch to Discord as well.
This last question here, I would say, ask besides the demanding schedule, which relates to time management, which I do think is probably the most challenging part of the course, which is what else would students say was the most challenging part of UXA? Maybe we probably have some data to support this, but I would say it's probably your technical knowledge in tools like Figma. Students really struggle with learning how to do certain things within those tools. And so that can be very challenging. So getting a head start on learning how to use those tools would be advisable. I don't know, what else would you guys say is really challenging in UXA for the students?
Yeah, I think definitely what you mentioned, Tim, time management is challenging. We hear that from students. So definitely setting yourself up for success with a planner, whether that's, digital or physical or both, whatever works best for you, is a really good way to just kind of get ahead of that and start getting into a good practice with planning out your time and making sure you're holding yourself accountable. Since the course is asynchronous and flexible, there definitely can be a tendency towards procrastination that we hear from students sometimes as well. So trying to avoid getting into that pitfall and then falling behind and feeling overwhelmed. Something else that I think is challenging for students is sometimes adjusting to mentorship. We see students sometimes have, I don't want to say a challenge, but there's a learning curve with working with a mentor. A mentor is different than a teacher. They're a facilitator. So really just encouraging students to be open to the mentorship process, be communicative, and also be in touch with us. We are going to be your touch point, throughout the program as far as my team admissions or customer experience. We're really there to help support students, and we want students to know that we're there and sort of trying to motivate and encourage you as much as we possibly can. So just keeping lines of communication open as well, that I think is really, really important for student success, but can sometimes be a challenge if you're not used to this learning structure.
I think related to that too, from a community perspective, something that is very challenging is actually doing the whole program remotely. Everyone is virtual, everyone's remote. So it does take a little bit of initiative to kind of start conversations when, so when you don't see someone, you don't have a face to put to a name, like it's a little bit intimidating sometimes. So that's actually a big driver as to why we're moving to Discord. We want everyone to feel like they can go find the space where they belong, that you can have conversations and share content and such. For those who use Slack right now for work purposes, that's exactly what it feels like. It's a workspace. So it's not, at least to us, it's not really a place where we can really build community and kind of foster those relationships between community members. So I would say that's probably another challenging part of being a student in UXA. And that's it. Those are our questions. Do we have any final words for everyone who's joined us?
Sure. I'll say something. I'll just say that, I talk with a lot of people, as Emily and Emily do, about switching into UX UI design. And a lot of people are like, well, what is this going to get me? And I usually tell them, and what they usually experience and validate with me at some point, is that the field of UX UI design is really stimulating because it kind of balances both parts of the brain, the very creative, childlike curiosity and creativity that you have. And then it also helps strengthen that analytical, critical thinking part of your brain as well. So it's a very balanced career choice, which is why I think people find it so fulfilling, and why I think it's such a emerging and exciting kind of field and job opportunity to jump into right now. So personally, I'm just really excited to share the curriculum with you all, get your feedback on it, and and learn so much. And we're really excited to share all the tools and the knowledge that we have developed over the past couple of years. And I think it's a really strong opportunity for right now to jump into this. So thank you so much for being here.
Yeah, and definitely feel free to reach out to us. No question is too small or silly. We're a super friendly team. We're really excited to engage with you all about the new curriculum and hopefully getting a ton of students involved. So definitely feel free to reach out in any number of ways. And we're really, really happy to connect, and we look forward to it.
Awesome. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Emily and Tim, for joining me in
Thank
another
you.
webinar. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody. Have a great day.